Hello and welcome. Today, we embark on a whispered journey into the shadowy past, exploring the mysterious and often misunderstood order of the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar, founded in the early 12th century, were one of the most powerful and enigmatic organizations of the medieval world. They began as humble protectors of Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land during the Crusades, but soon became renowned as fierce warriors, skilled financiers, and influential political figures across Europe and the Middle East. With their iconic white mantles adorned with a red cross, the Templars were feared and revered in equal measure. However, their rise to power was as dramatic as their eventual downfall. In just a few centuries, the Templars went from being heroes of Christendom to being accused of heresy, sorcery, and even the worship of mysterious idols. Their dramatic arrest, trial, and eventual dissolution in the early 14th century by King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V remain one of the most sensational events in medieval history. Yet, the story of the Templars did not end there. Over the centuries, their legend has only grown, intertwined with myths of secret knowledge, hidden treasures, and, most famously, the quest for the Holy Grail. Were the Templars the true guardians of this sacred relic, as some believe? Did they possess esoteric wisdom passed down through the ages? Or were they simply victims of political maneuvering and greed? In this series, we will delve into the origins, rise, and fall of the Knights Templar, exploring the historical facts as well as the legends and mysteries that continue to surround them. From their role in the Crusades to the tantalizing connection to the Holy Grail, we will uncover the truths and myths of one of the most fascinating orders in history. So, settle in and let the whispered tale of the Knights Templar unfold. Who were the Knights Templar? The Knights Templar, officially known as the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, were founded around 1119 CE during the early years of the Crusades. Their primary mission was to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, a dangerous journey through regions filled with bandits and hostile forces. Over time, they evolved from a small group of knights into one of the most powerful and influential military orders in medieval Christendom. The order was established in Jerusalem by a French knight named Hugues de Payens and a small group of his companions. Initially, they were few in number and relied heavily on donations to survive. Their base was situated near the ruins of Solomon's Temple, from which they took their name. With the support of Baldwin II, the King of Jerusalem, the Templars quickly gained prestige and attracted new recruits. In 1129, the Templars were formally recognized by the Catholic Church during the Council of Troyes, where they received official backing from Pope Honorius II. This recognition gave the order legitimacy and allowed them to grow rapidly in wealth, influence, and membership. Knights from noble families across Europe flocked to join their ranks, drawn by the Templars' religious mission, military prowess, and promise of spiritual salvation. The Templars took monastic vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, much like other religious orders. However, unlike monks, they were also warrior knights, trained to fight in defense of Christian territories in the Holy Land. Their dual role as both monks and soldiers set them apart from other orders and made them a powerful force during the Crusades. As protectors of Christian pilgrims, the Templars were granted significant privileges by the Church. They were exempt from paying taxes, could cross borders freely, and were answerable only to the Pope. These privileges, along with donations of land and wealth from devout Christians, helped the Templars amass vast estates across Europe and the Middle East. While they started as a military order, the Templars soon became skilled administrators and financiers. They established one of the first international banking systems, allowing pilgrims to deposit money in one location and withdraw it in another, essentially creating the medieval equivalent of traveler's checks. This made them wealthy and influential, but also attracted jealousy and suspicion. The Knights Templar were not only warriors and bankers, but also highly disciplined and devout in their religious practices. Each knight lived by a strict rule set down by their founder, Hugues de Payens, and later codified by Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, a prominent religious figure who supported the Templars in their early years. Bernard described the Templars as soldiers of Christ and praised them for their combination of martial strength and pious devotion. Over time, the Templars gained a reputation as some of the finest fighters in the Crusades, known for their courage, discipline, and unwavering commitment to their mission. They fought in numerous battles to defend the Kingdom of Jerusalem and other Christian territories in the Middle East, becoming legendary for their military skills. The red cross emblazoned on their white mantles became a symbol of their holy mission and was feared by their enemies. However, despite their many successes, the Templars' fortunes began to decline as the Crusader states in the Holy Land fell one by one. By the end of the 13th century, Christian forces had lost control of Acre, the last stronghold in the Holy Land, and the Templars were forced to retreat to Cyprus. Their purpose as defenders of the Holy Land seemed to fade, and with it, their influence in the region. The Templars had established a vast network of lands, castles, and wealth across Europe, but their growing power and independence began to raise suspicions among European monarchs and the Church. Many rulers, particularly King Philip IV of France, saw the Templars as a threat to their authority and an easy target to seize their riches. The order's downfall would come in the early 14th century, but for nearly 2 centuries, the Knights Templar stood as a symbol of Christian chivalry, religious devotion, and military prowess. They were a unique order, dedicated to defending the Holy Land and the Christian faith, while also amassing great wealth and power, which would ultimately lead to their dramatic and tragic end. The rise of the Templars, protectors of pilgrims. In the early 12th century, as the Crusades raged in the Holy Land, Christian pilgrims from Europe faced perilous journeys as they traveled to sacred sites such as Jerusalem and Bethlehem. These routes were fraught with danger. Pilgrims were often attacked by bandits, robbed, and even killed as they passed through hostile territories. It was in this climate of danger and uncertainty that the Knights Templar first rose to prominence, fulfilling their initial mission as protectors of Christian pilgrims. At the time of the Templars' founding around 1119 CE, Jerusalem had recently been captured by Christian forces during the First Crusade, 1096 to 1099. Although the city was now under Christian control, the roads leading to and from the Holy Land were still treacherous, particularly for unarmed and vulnerable pilgrims. Hugues de Payens and a small group of fellow knights recognized this dire situation and took it upon themselves to provide armed protection for these travelers. Operating with only a handful of knights at the beginning, the Templars established their headquarters near the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, an area believed to be the site of the ancient Temple of Solomon. From this sacred site, they drew inspiration for their name, the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ, and the Temple of Solomon, commonly known as the Knights Templar. The Templars initially received little attention and operated with minimal resources. Their mission was humble, to protect pilgrims on their journey to the Holy Land. However, as word of their bravery and dedication spread, they began to attract attention from influential leaders and the Church. Pilgrims who successfully reached Jerusalem, thanks to the Templars' protection, would often donate money or gifts to support their cause, and soon, the order began to grow. The order's mission was formalized and expanded in 1129 when they gained the support of the Church at the Council of Troyes. Here, the Templars received official recognition from the papacy, thanks in part to the influential Bernard of Clairvaux, a powerful Cistercian monk who championed their cause. Bernard described the Templars as soldiers of Christ, lauding them for their dual role as both devout monks and fierce warriors. This official endorsement significantly boosted their reputation and resources, allowing them to recruit more members and gain financial support from European nobility. As their ranks swelled, the Templars expanded their operations. No longer just a small band of knights, they became a highly organized and disciplined military order. Their primary task remained the protection of pilgrims, but they soon found themselves playing a more substantial role in the defense of the Crusader states, Christian territories established in the Holy Land after the First Crusade. The Templars were assigned the responsibility of guarding key roads, fortifying castles, and securing vital routes between Christian strongholds in the Holy Land. They established a network of commanderies, which served as bases of operation across the Holy Land and later throughout Europe. These commanderies function as administrative centers, providing logistics and resources for their missions. While the Templars were renowned for their combat skills, their most famous achievement during their rise was the development of one of the first international banking systems. Pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land could deposit their money at a Templar house in Europe and receive a letter of credit, which they could later cash at a Templar commandery in the Holy Land. This system made travel safer for pilgrims, as they no longer had to carry large sums of money, making them less vulnerable to robbery. As their influence and resources grew, the Templars became an indispensable part of the defense network of the Crusader states. Their elite knights, clad in white mantles with a red cross, were known for their discipline, courage, and dedication to their religious mission. They fought in many of the most significant battles of the Crusades, including the defense of Jerusalem, Acre, and other key fortresses. One of the keys to the Templars' success was their strict adherence to their rule, which was modeled on the monastic orders of the time. The Templars took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, dedicating their lives to serving God and the Church. However, unlike other monastic orders, they combined their religious devotion with military training, creating a unique blend of monk and warrior. The Templars were renowned for their discipline in battle. Their knights were forbidden from retreating in the face of the enemy unless heavily outnumbered, and they were expected to fight to the death if necessary. Their unwavering commitment to their cause made them some of the most feared warriors in the Holy Land, and their presence on the battlefield often turned the tide of battle in favor of the Christian forces. Beyond their military role, the Templars also played a significant part in the governance of the Crusader states. As landowners and administrators, they helped maintain the fragile Christian territories in the Middle East. Their wealth and influence grew as they received donations of land, money, and resources from European nobles eager to support their mission. By the mid-12th century, the Knights Templar had become one of the most powerful organizations in Christendom. Their rise to power was built on their reputation as protectors of the faithful, both on the dangerous roads to Jerusalem and on the battlefield. However, their growing wealth and influence would soon attract jealousy and suspicion, laying the groundwork for their eventual downfall. As the Templars grew in power, they evolved from humble protectors of pilgrims into a formidable military and financial organization, shaping the course of the Crusades in European history for centuries to come. Templar hierarchy, structure, power, and wealth. As the Knights Templar grew from a small group of knights into a powerful organization spanning Europe and the Middle East, they developed a complex and efficient hierarchy that allowed them to manage both their military and financial operations effectively. This hierarchy was essential in maintaining order, discipline, and success in their missions, whether it was on the battlefield or in the administration of their vast estates and financial ventures. At the top of this hierarchy was the Grand Master, the supreme leader of the order, who held both spiritual and military authority over all Templars. The Grand Master was elected for life by the highest-ranking members of the order and was responsible for leading the Knights Templar in battle, managing diplomatic relations with rulers and the Church, and overseeing the order's financial resources. The Grand Master had considerable influence, not just within the Templar ranks, but also across Christendom, often negotiating with kings and popes. However, his power was balanced by the chapter, a governing body composed of senior knights who advised and assisted him in important decisions. Below the Grand Master was the Seneschal, who acted as the Grand Master's chief deputy and could assume command in his absence. The Seneschal was responsible for the day-to-day administration of the order, particularly in matters of logistics and organization. He played a key role in managing the vast Templar properties and resources spread across Europe and the Holy Land. Another important figure in the Templar hierarchy was the Marshal, the highest-ranking military officer within the order. The Marshal oversaw all military operations, including the training of knights, the organization of military campaigns, and the management of weapons and horses. The Marshal was instrumental in ensuring that the Templars remained a formidable fighting force, enforcing strict discipline and ensuring that the knights were always prepared for battle. Each Templar region was divided into provinces, each of which was led by a commander or preceptor. These regional leaders were responsible for overseeing the Templar estates, known as commanderies, and managing the resources and knights within their jurisdiction. Commanderies functioned as both administrative centers and military bases, housing knights, sergeants, and other members of the order. They were also key points in the Templars' vast financial network, where banking operations and resource management took place. The Templar hierarchy was not limited to military personnel. The order also included sergeants, who were often non-noble members that served in support roles such as logistics, farming, and maintaining the Templar estates. While not knights themselves, sergeants played a crucial part in the day-to-day operations of the order, ensuring that supplies, horses, and resources were available to sustain the knights in their missions. In addition to knights and sergeants, the Templars employed a number of chaplains and priests who were responsible for the spiritual welfare of the order's members. These religious figures ensured that the Templars adhered to their monastic vows, performed religious services, and maintained the spiritual discipline that was integral to the order's identity as both monks and warriors. One of the key reasons for the Templars' success and their eventual wealth was their sophisticated financial network. The Templars established a system of banking that allowed pilgrims and nobles to deposit money at Templar strongholds in Europe and withdraw it in the Holy Land. This system of letters of credit was one of the first of its kind and made long-distance travel much safer, as individuals no longer had to carry large sums of money. As a result, the Templars became the medieval equivalent of international bankers, managing vast sums of money and providing loans to monarchs and other high-ranking officials. The Templars' financial expertise extended beyond banking. They owned and managed extensive landholdings across Europe, including farms, vineyards, and castles. These estates generated significant income through agriculture, livestock, and taxation. In return for their military services and their protection of pilgrims, the Templars received generous donations of land and wealth from European nobility, further increasing their power and influence. The Order's wealth allowed them to fund their military campaigns in the Holy Land, build fortifications, and maintain a fleet of ships for trade and transport. The Templars owned numerous castles and fortresses across Europe and the Levant, including strategic strongholds such as Chateau Pellerin and Croix de Chevaliers. These castles were not only military outposts but also served as administrative centers where the Order conducted its financial dealings and managed its territories. Despite their vows of poverty, the Templars as an organization amassed vast wealth and resources, making them one of the most powerful institutions in Christendom. However, the individual knights of the Order were required to live simply and frugally, as their personal wealth and possessions were held in common with the Order. Knights were forbidden from owning personal property, and any wealth they acquired was supposed to be used for the benefit of the Order and its mission. The Templars' financial power, combined with their military strength, made them both invaluable and feared. Their ability to operate independently of local rulers and their direct loyalty to the Pope created tension with European monarchs, particularly as their wealth and influence grew. While the Templars were instrumental in defending the Holy Land and supporting Christian efforts in the Crusades, their independence and financial success eventually made them targets for envy and suspicion. The Templars and the Crusades, warriors of Christ. The Knights Templar were not just protectors of pilgrims and financial administrators, they were also fearsome warriors who played a crucial role in the Crusades, a series of religious wars waged between Christian and Muslim forces over control of the Holy Land. The Templars' military prowess and their dedication to the defense of Christendom made them one of the most effective fighting forces during this period. Their reputation as warriors of Christ was earned on the battlefields of the Levant, where they fought tirelessly to maintain Christian control over sacred sites, particularly Jerusalem. From their earliest days, the Templars were deeply involved in the defense of Christian territories in the Holy Land. Following the First Crusade, 1096 to 1099, which resulted in the Christian capture of Jerusalem, the newly established Crusader states were in constant danger of being attacked by surrounding Muslim forces. The Kingdom of Jerusalem, along with other Christian territories such as the County of Tripoli and the Principality of Antioch, relied heavily on military orders like the Templars for protection. The Templars quickly earned a reputation as elite warriors, known for their discipline, courage, and willingness to fight to the death. Their strict rule, which demanded unwavering loyalty to the Order and complete dedication to their mission, made them formidable opponents on the battlefield. Unlike other knights, who might be motivated by personal glory or wealth, the Templars fought with a deep sense of religious duty, believing that their actions were a direct service to God. One of the most famous battles in which the Templars played a key role was the Battle of Montgassard in 1177. In this battle, a small force of Crusaders, including about 500 Templar knights, faced a vastly superior army led by Saladin, the powerful Muslim leader. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Crusader forces, led by King Baldwin IV of Jerusalem, achieved a stunning victory. The Templars' discipline and bravery were instrumental in turning the tide of the battle, solidifying their reputation as fierce defenders of Christian lands. The Templars also participated in the Battle of Hattin in 1187, one of the most disastrous defeats for the Crusaders. In this battle, Saladin's forces surrounded the Crusader army near the Sea of Galilee, cutting off their access to water and wearing them down with heat and exhaustion. The Templars fought valiantly, but they were unable to prevent the total defeat of the Christian forces. Saladin's victory at Hattin led to the fall of Jerusalem and the loss of most of the Crusader-controlled territories in the Holy Land. Despite this crushing defeat, the Templars remained committed to the cause of the Crusades. They continued to fight in later Crusades, including the Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192, led by Richard the Lionheart of England. The Templars played a key role in the defense of Acre, one of the last remaining Christian strongholds in the Holy Land. Acre became a central base of operations for the Templars, who built a massive fortress there to protect the city from Muslim forces. The Templars' military efforts were not limited to land battles. They also developed a naval fleet to transport soldiers, supplies, and pilgrims between Europe and the Holy Land. Their fleet played a crucial role in maintaining the flow of reinforcements and resources to the Crusader states, particularly during times of siege or blockade. The Templars' naval power allowed them to operate more independently, giving them control over vital sea routes in the Mediterranean. While the Templars' commitment to the Crusades was unwavering, the political landscape of the region began to shift over time. By the late 13th century, the Crusader states were in decline, and the Muslim forces, under leaders like Saladin and later the Mamluks, gradually reconquered Christian-held territories. The fall of Acre in 1291 marked the end of the Crusader presence in the Holy Land, and with it, the Templars' primary mission of defending Christian pilgrims and territories in the region. The loss of the Holy Land was a significant blow to the Templars. Although they had established a vast network of estates and castles across Europe, their identity was deeply tied to their role in the Crusades. With the end of the Crusades, the Templars found themselves without a clear purpose. Many European rulers began to question the need for the order, and the Templars' wealth and independence made them a target for suspicion and envy. Despite these challenges, the Templars continued to maintain a strong military presence in Cyprus, where they regrouped after the fall of Acre. From their base on the island, they attempted to launch naval raids and retake territories in the Holy Land, but these efforts ultimately proved unsuccessful. The Templars' involvement in the Crusades left a lasting legacy. They were not only warriors but also administrators who helped to organize and sustain the Crusader states during their existence. Their castles and fortresses, many of which still stand today, were marvels of medieval engineering designed to withstand long sieges and protect the Christian presence in the Holy Land. The Templars' military achievements, combined with their religious devotion, created an image of the ideal Christian knight, a warrior who fought not for personal gain, but for the greater glory of God. This image would endure long after their downfall, contributing to the myths and legends that continue to surround the order to this day. Ultimately, the Templars' role in the Crusades defined them as an order. They were warriors of Christ, dedicated to defending the Christian faith and its holy sites, often at great personal cost. Their successes in battle and their commitment to their cause made them heroes of Christendom, but their failures and the eventual loss of the Holy Land left them vulnerable to the political forces that would later conspire to destroy them. The Templars and the Holy Grail, myth or reality? Of all the legends surrounding the Knights Templar, none is more enduring or captivating than their supposed connection to the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail, believed by some to be the cup that Jesus Christ used during the Last Supper, has long been associated with mystical powers, secret knowledge, and eternal life. Over the centuries, various theories have emerged suggesting that the Templars were the true guardians of this sacred relic, hiding it away in secret locations to protect it from those who sought to misuse its power. The association between the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail is largely rooted in medieval literature and romanticized myths, rather than historical evidence. One of the earliest connections between the Templars and the Grail can be found in the works of Chrétien de Troyes, a French poet writing in the late 12th century. In his unfinished epic, Betrayal, the story of the Grail, Chrétien introduced the concept of the Grail as a mystical object, though he did not explicitly connect it to the Templars. The Grail legend gained further traction in the 13th century with the writings of Wolfram von Eschenbach, a German knight and poet. In his epic poem Parzival, Wolfram introduced the idea that the Grail was not a mere cup but a stone of immense power, imbued with divine energies. Wolfram also described an order of knights, called the Grail Guardians, who were charged with protecting this sacred relic. These Grail Guardians bore a striking resemblance to the Templars, leading some to speculate that Wolfram's fictional order was based on the real-life Knights Templar. The connection between the Templars and the Grail became even stronger in the centuries that followed. As the Templars' wealth and influence grew, so did the stories and rumors about their possession of sacred objects, hidden treasures, and esoteric knowledge. The secrecy that surrounded much of the Templars' activities, particularly their mysterious rituals and their wealth, further fueled speculation that they were the custodians of powerful relics, such as the Grail. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Templars' supposed connection to the Grail is their occupation of Temple Mount in Jerusalem. The Temple Mount is a site of immense religious significance, believed by Jews to be the location of Solomon's Temple, where the Ark of the Covenant was once housed. For Christians, it was a place deeply connected to biblical history, and for the Templars, it became their headquarters during their time in Jerusalem. Some theorists believe that while the Templars were stationed at the Temple Mount, they may have uncovered ancient relics or documents hidden deep beneath the ruins of Solomon's Temple. This discovery, some suggest, could have included the Holy Grail or even the Ark of the Covenant itself. According to this theory, the Templars then hid these relics in secret locations across Europe to protect them from falling into the wrong hands. While there is no historical evidence to support these claims, the idea of the Templars as protectors of ancient relics has persisted, in part due to the mystery that surrounds their order and their eventual downfall. The Templars were known for their vast network of fortresses and castles across Europe, and some believe that these strongholds may have been used to hide treasures like the Grail. After the fall of the Templars in the early 14th century, many of their possessions were seized by the Crown and the Church. However, rumors began to spread that the Templars had managed to hide their most valuable treasures before their arrest. Some of these treasures, it was said, included not only gold and jewels but also relics of deep spiritual significance, including the Holy Grail. The story of the Templars' connection to the Grail reached new heights in modern times, thanks in part to 20th century literature and popular culture. Novels like The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown and films such as Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade helped to solidify the idea that the Templars had a secret role as guardians of the Grail, keeping it hidden from the world. These fictional accounts, while entertaining, have little basis in historical fact, but they have contributed to the enduring fascination with the Templars and the Grail. Beyond the Grail, the Templars have also been linked to other relics of Christian tradition, such as the Shroud of Turin, believed by some to be the burial cloth of Jesus. Some theorists have suggested that the Templars may have safeguarded this relic as well, hiding it from those who sought to destroy it. While the historical connection between the Templars and the Shroud remains unproven, the association has added to the air of mystery that surrounds the order. The legend of the Templars and the Holy Grail, whether based in fact or fiction, has become an integral part of the mythos surrounding the order. The idea of a group of knights secretly protecting one of the most sacred objects in Christian history is a powerful narrative that has captured the imaginations of countless generations. While there is no concrete evidence to suggest that the Templars ever possessed the Holy Grail, the enduring allure of this legend speaks to the fascination we have with secret societies, hidden treasures, and the quest for ultimate knowledge and power. The Templars, with their reputation for mystery and their dramatic rise and fall, have become the perfect vessels for these enduring myths. In the end, whether the Templars truly guarded the Holy Grail or whether this is simply a creation of medieval imagination, the association between the two has left an indelible mark on the story of the Templars. To this day, the legend of the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail continues to captivate historians, treasure hunters, and dreamers alike as the search for truth behind the myth endures. Templar secrets and mysticism, hidden knowledge? The Knights Templar were not only renowned for their military prowess and financial acumen, but over the centuries, they became shrouded in an air of mystery. Speculation about secret rituals, hidden knowledge, and mystical practices has fueled countless legends and conspiracy theories about the Templars. Were the Templars the keepers of ancient wisdom, spiritual secrets, or even forbidden knowledge? Or were these tales merely the product of medieval superstition and later romanticized accounts? The Templars' association with secrecy can be traced back to their founding in the early 12th century. The order was created with a dual purpose: to protect Christian pilgrims and to serve as a military force in the Holy Land. However, as they grew in wealth and influence, their internal operations became more opaque to outsiders. Their activities, financial dealings, and religious practices were largely kept within the order, and this lack of transparency led to rumors and suspicions about what the Templars were really doing behind closed doors. One of the key sources of speculation regarding the Templars' secrets comes from their mysterious initiation rituals. New recruits to the order were required to undergo a secretive ceremony to officially become a Templar. The details of these rituals were closely guarded by the order, and as a result, outsiders, including those in the church and the monarchy, were left to guess what actually took place during these ceremonies. Some accounts, particularly from the time of the Templars' trial and persecution, claimed that these rituals involved blasphemous acts, such as spitting on the cross or worshipping strange idols. Perhaps the most famous of these alleged idols is Baphomet, a mysterious figure that was mentioned during the Templars' trials in the early 14th century. Several Templars, under torture, confessed to worshipping a head-shaped idol known as Baphomet, though no physical evidence of such an idol has ever been found. The true meaning and origin of the Baphomet legend remain unclear, but over the centuries, it has become synonymous with occult practices and secret knowledge. Modern scholars generally believe that these confessions were coerced and likely fabricated, yet the legend of Baphomet continues to persist in popular culture. Another source of speculation about the Templars' hidden knowledge comes from their long association with Temple Mount in Jerusalem. The Templars established their headquarters near the ruins of Solomon's Temple, and some believe that during their time there, they uncovered ancient secrets or relics that had been hidden beneath the temple. According to these theories, the Templars may have found the Ark of the Covenant, secret texts, or other powerful religious artifacts that granted them esoteric knowledge or spiritual power. While there is no historical evidence to support these claims, the idea that the Templars were the custodians of lost ancient wisdom has fascinated historians and conspiracy theorists alike. The Templars' rise to power and their perceived independence from both the church and secular rulers also fueled suspicions that they possessed forbidden knowledge. Some believe that the Templars were involved in alchemy, the mystical pursuit of turning base metals into gold and discovering the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance said to grant immortality. Others speculated that the Templars had access to secret knowledge about the Holy Grail, the Shroud of Turin, or other relics connected to Jesus Christ and early Christianity. These rumors were further exacerbated by the Templars' sudden and dramatic downfall. When King Philip IV of France orchestrated the arrest and trial of the Templars in 1307, many were shocked at the charges of heresy, blasphemy, and occult practices that were leveled against the order. The Inquisition, under pressure from the French crown, accused the Templars of a variety of offenses, including idol worship, sodomy, and conducting secret, heretical rites. Some of these charges were based on confessions extracted under torture, but the sensational nature of the accusations helped to solidify the idea that the Templars were involved in dark and mysterious practices. The Templars' abrupt dissolution and the subsequent disappearance of much of their wealth only added to the intrigue. It is believed that, just before their arrest, the Templars managed to hide a portion of their treasures and possibly their secret knowledge, leading to centuries of treasure hunts and speculation about hidden Templar hoards. Legends have persisted that the Templars took their most valuable artifacts and knowledge to secret locations across Europe, perhaps even hiding them in places like Scotland, Portugal, or the Swiss Alps. Over time, the Templars became closely associated with the Freemasons, another secretive organization with roots in medieval stone masonry guilds. While there is no direct historical link between the two groups, many conspiracy theorists have suggested that the Freemasons inherited the Templars' hidden knowledge, rituals, and even their mission to protect sacred relics. The Templars' symbolism, particularly the use of crosses and other Christian imagery, has been adopted by various groups throughout history, further cementing their association with secret societies and mysticism. The modern fascination with the Templars as keepers of hidden knowledge has been fueled by 20th and 21st century literature and popular culture. From Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code to countless documentaries and television series, the Templars are often portrayed as an ancient order steeped in mystery, with access to secrets that could alter the course of history. While these depictions are largely fictional, they continue to shape public perception of the Templars as more than just a medieval military order. Ultimately, the question of whether the Templars possessed hidden knowledge or engaged in mystical practices remains unanswered. While historical evidence suggests that the Templars were devout Christians and loyal servants of the Church, the secrecy surrounding their rituals and their dramatic downfall have left ample room for speculation and myth-making. Whether or not the Templars were truly the guardians of ancient wisdom, the legend of their secret knowledge has become an enduring part of their legacy. The Templars' association with mysticism, esoteric knowledge, and secret rituals adds another layer of intrigue to their already complex history. As a result, the Knights Templar remain one of the most mysterious and captivating organizations of the medieval world, their story shrouded in both historical fact and enduring legend. The fall of the Knights Templar, Betrayal and Trial. After nearly 2 centuries of immense power, wealth, and influence, the dramatic downfall of the Knights Templar unfolded in the early 14th century. Their sudden fall, marked by betrayal, greed, and political maneuvering, remains one of the most controversial and shocking events in medieval history. Once revered as protectors of Christendom, the Templars became the targets of a well-coordinated campaign that would lead to their dissolution, the arrest of their members, and the execution of many high-ranking knights. The beginning of the end for the Templars can largely be traced back to one man, King Philip IV of France, also known as Philip the Fair. Philip had long been at odds with the Church and had faced financial difficulties due to his wars with England. His kingdom was in debt, and he owed a significant amount of money to the Templars, who had lent vast sums to finance his military campaigns. Philip saw the wealth of the Templars as a tempting target, and he began plotting their downfall in order to seize their assets and eliminate the debt he owed to them. By the early 1300s, the Templars' original mission, to defend the Holy Land, had become largely obsolete following the loss of Christian territories in the Levant. As their military role diminished, the order increasingly focused on managing their estates and financial operations across Europe. This shift made the Templars wealthy, but it also left them vulnerable. With their military purpose fading, they were seen as less essential to Christendom, and their vast riches drew envy and suspicion. Philip IV, already resentful of the Templars' power and independence, decided to act. He sought to eliminate the order and seize their wealth, but to do so, he needed to discredit them in the eyes of the public and the Church. In 1307, Philip began spreading rumors and accusations against the Templars, claiming that they were guilty of heresy, blasphemy, and idolatry. He accused them of engaging in secret, sacrilegious rituals that included spitting on the cross, denying Christ, and worshipping false idols such as Baphomet. These charges were largely based on confessions extracted under torture, and most historians now agree that they were fabricated by Philip to justify his actions. On October 13, 1307, Philip took decisive action. In a coordinated and secretive operation, his agents arrested hundreds of Templars across France, including their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay. The knights were imprisoned, and many were subjected to brutal torture in an attempt to extract confessions. Under the extreme pressure of torture, many Templars admitted to the charges of heresy and blasphemy, though it is widely believed that these confessions were coerced and false. Philip's campaign against the Templars was not limited to France. He pressured Pope Clement V to take action against the entire order, using the Templars' alleged heresy as a pretext. Initially hesitant, Pope Clement eventually agreed to open an investigation into the order. In 1308, he issued a papal bull known as Posturalis Preeminentia, which called for the arrest of Templars throughout Christendom and the seizure of their property. This marked the beginning of a widespread inquisition against the Templars, as rulers across Europe followed the Pope's directive. The Templars' trial was long and grueling. Over the course of several years, many Templars were interrogated, tortured, and imprisoned. Some were burned at the stake, while others were forced to renounce the order. The charges against the Templars included heresy, idol worship, corruption, and immoral behavior, though the evidence for these accusations was flimsy at best. Despite the lack of credible evidence, the Templars were increasingly seen as a corrupt and dangerous organization, thanks to the relentless propaganda spread by Philip and his allies. One of the most significant events during the trial was the public execution of Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar. After years of imprisonment, de Molay was brought to trial in 1314. He had initially confessed to some of the charges under torture but later recanted, insisting that the order was innocent of the crimes they had been accused of. His refusal to admit guilt and his public declaration of the Templars' innocence sealed his fate. On March 18, 1314, de Molay was burnt at the stake in Paris, along with Geoffroy de Charny, the preceptor of Normandy. According to legend, de Molay cursed King Philip and Pope Clement from the flames, predicting that both would soon face divine judgment. Remarkably, both Philip and Clement died within a year of de Molay's execution. The execution of Jacques de Molay marked the final chapter in the story of the Knights Templar. By 1312, Pope Clement had officially dissolved the order through the papal bull Vox in Excelso. The Templars' properties were confiscated, with much of their wealth transferred to the Knights Hospitaller, another military order. However, many of the Templars' assets also found their way into the hands of secular rulers, particularly Philip IV, who had orchestrated their downfall. The trial and execution of the Templars left a lasting legacy. The order, once seen as the protectors of Christendom, had been disbanded in disgrace. Yet, over time, the Templars' demise came to be viewed not as a result of their own wrongdoing, but as a tragic example of political betrayal and greed. Philip IV's ruthless pursuit of the Templars for financial gain left a stain on his legacy, and the trials became a symbol of injustice. In the centuries that followed, the fall of the Knights Templar gave rise to numerous myths and legends. The mysterious nature of their arrest, the dramatic trials, and the rumors of hidden treasures fueled speculation about what truly happened to the Templars and their wealth. Some believe that the Templars managed to hide much of their treasure before their arrest, and treasure hunters have long searched for these lost riches, imagining that they include priceless artifacts such as the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. The sudden and dramatic nature of the Templars' fall also contributed to their transformation into figures of romantic legend. In later centuries, secret societies like the Freemasons and various conspiracy theorists claimed connections to the Templars, adding to the enduring mystique surrounding the order. The Templars, who had once been warriors and monks, were reimagined as the guardians of hidden knowledge and treasures, with their legacy extending far beyond their historical role. In the end, the betrayal and trial of the Knights Templar remains one of the most compelling stories of medieval history, a tale of power, greed, and the fragility of even the most powerful institutions. Though their order was destroyed, the Knights Templar continued to live on in popular imagination, their story a symbol of both the heights of human achievement and the depths of human ambition. The execution of Jacques de Molay, end of an era. The execution of Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, in 1314 marked the final, tragic chapter in the story of the Templars. His death, alongside that of Geoffroy de Charny, symbolized not just the end of the Templar order, but the culmination of years of persecution, betrayal, and political intrigue. De Molay's execution by burning at the stake left a deep impression on the medieval world and became a pivotal moment in the legacy of the Knights Templar. Jacques de Molay had been the leader of the Templars since the late 13th century, overseeing the order during some of its most challenging years, particularly as the Christian strongholds in the Holy Land fell to Muslim forces. After the fall of Acre in 1291, de Molay and the Templars had retreated to Cyprus, where they attempted to regroup and plan new crusades to retake Jerusalem. However, by the early 14th century, the political landscape of Europe had shifted dramatically, and the Templars were no longer seen as essential to the Christian cause. Their military role had diminished, and their immense wealth and independence made them targets of suspicion and envy, particularly for King Philip IV of France. When the mass arrests of the Knights Templar began on October 13, 1307, Jacques de Molay was among the first to be captured. He was in Paris at the time, attending the funeral of Catherine of Valois, and had no warning of the dramatic events that were about to unfold. Along with hundreds of other Templars, de Molay was arrested on charges of heresy, blasphemy, and idolatry, charges that were based on confessions extracted under torture. Despite the brutal methods used to force these confessions, de Molay initially admitted to some of the charges against him, likely in an attempt to avoid further torture or execution. For several years, de Molay remained imprisoned as the Inquisition and the French crown pursued their case against the Templars. During this time, Pope Clement V conducted his own investigation into the order, and although he was initially reluctant to condemn the Templars, the political pressure from King Philip proved too great. By 1312, the Pope had officially dissolved the Knights Templar, and their lands and wealth were seized, with much of it being transferred to the Knights Hospitaller. Despite the dissolution of the order, Jacques de Molay remained imprisoned. His fate was left uncertain as the trial against the Templars dragged on. However, in 1314, after years of imprisonment, de Molay was finally brought to trial in Paris. Alongside him was Geoffroy de Charny, the preceptor of Normandy and a high-ranking Templar knight. Both men were expected to publicly confess to their crimes and reaffirm the charges of heresy against the order. However, in a dramatic and unexpected turn of events, both de Molay and de Charny recanted their previous confessions. Standing before a large crowd in Paris, de Molay proclaimed the innocence of the Templars, rejecting the charges of heresy and insisting that the order had been unjustly persecuted. He declared that his earlier confession had been extracted under duress and was therefore invalid. His bold declaration shocked the authorities, particularly King Philip, who had expected a straightforward confession to justify the actions taken against the Templars. By refusing to confess and defying the crown's narrative, de Molay effectively sealed his own fate. Within days, Philip IV ordered that both de Molay and de Charny be executed for their defiance. On March 18, 1314, the two Templar leaders were led to a small island in the Seine River in Paris, where they were sentenced to death by burning at the stake. This method of execution was reserved for the most serious offenses, particularly heresy, and was meant to serve as a public spectacle and a warning to others. As de Molay faced the flames, he is said to have maintained his composure, refusing to retract his statements or ask for forgiveness. According to some accounts, de Molay used his final moments to curse both King Philip IV and Pope Clement V, declaring that they would soon face divine judgment for their role in the persecution of the Templars. Legend holds that de Molay prophesied that both Philip and Clement would die within a year, a prophecy that, remarkably, came true. Philip IV died in November 1314, just months after de Molay's execution, and Pope Clement V passed away in April 1314. While the details of de Molay's curse are likely exaggerated or apocryphal, the story became an enduring part of the Templar legend. His death solidified him as a martyr in the eyes of many, and over time, de Molay came to symbolize the tragic downfall of the Templars, who were seen as victims of greed and political ambition. The execution of Jacques de Molay marked the definitive end of the Knights Templar as a formal organization. After his death, the order was disbanded, its members either absorbed into other military orders or scattered across Europe. Some Templars managed to avoid capture or fled to regions where they were offered protection, such as Scotland and Portugal, but the days of the Templars as a dominant force in Christendom were over. Despite the Templars' dissolution, the execution of de Molay had a lasting impact on their legacy. Over the centuries, the Templars became the subject of countless legends and conspiracy theories, with many speculating that they had hidden away treasures or secret knowledge before their fall. The circumstances surrounding de Molay's death and his defiance in the face of execution only added to the mystique that would continue to surround the Templars for generations. In modern times, Jacques de Molay's name lives on through various organizations and cultural references. One of the most notable is the Order of de Molay, a fraternal organization for young men founded in 1919, named in honor of de Molay's courage and integrity. His story continues to inspire fascination and respect, even as the true nature of the Templars' demise remains a subject of historical debate. In the end, the execution of Jacques de Molay marked the end of an era. The once powerful Knights Templar, who had risen to become one of the most influential and wealthy organizations in medieval Europe, were brought low by political ambition and greed. De Molay's defiance in his final moments and his refusal to betray his order ensured that his legacy would endure long after his death, becoming a symbol of loyalty, sacrifice, and the enduring mystery of the Knights Templar. The Templar legacy, myths, legends, and popular culture. Although the Knights Templar were officially disbanded in the early 14th century, their story did not end with their dissolution. Instead, the Templars became larger-than-life figures in the collective imagination, inspiring countless myths, legends, and conspiracy theories that have endured for centuries. From secret societies and hidden treasures to modern pop culture references, the Templars' legacy has taken on a life of its own, far beyond their historical reality. Templar myths and secret societies. One of the most enduring myths about the Templars is their alleged connection to secret knowledge, treasures, and esoteric practices. After the order was dissolved and its members persecuted, rumors began to circulate that the Templars had hidden away vast riches, relics, and even sacred objects like the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. According to some legends, the Templars managed to transport their treasures to secret locations before their arrest, hiding them in places like Scotland, Portugal, or even the Swiss Alps. These theories were fueled by the mysterious nature of the Templars' arrest and the fact that much of their wealth seemingly disappeared after their downfall. While historians generally agree that many of the Templars' assets were confiscated by the Church or various monarchies, the idea that hidden treasures remained undiscovered has sparked the imaginations of treasure hunters and conspiracy theorists for centuries. The Templars' association with secret knowledge has also led to their supposed connection with the Freemasons, a fraternal organization with roots in the medieval stone masonry guilds. Some theorists believe that the Templars went underground after their dissolution and eventually became part of the Freemason movement, passing on their secret rituals and hidden knowledge to future generations. While there is no historical evidence to support a direct link between the Templars and the Freemasons, the two groups share common symbols and themes, particularly regarding secrecy and loyalty. In addition to the Freemasons, the Templars have been linked to various other secret societies throughout history, including the Illuminati and the Rosicrucians. These connections, while largely speculative, have helped to cement the Templars' reputation as keepers of arcane knowledge and guardians of hidden truths. The Holy Grail and the Templars in legend. One of the most captivating aspects of the Templar mythos is their supposed role as guardians of the Holy Grail. The Grail, often described as the cup used by Jesus at the Last Supper, has been a symbol of divine power and eternal life in Christian legend. Over time, various writers and historians have speculated that the Templars discovered the Grail during their time in the Holy Land and brought it back to Europe, where they protected it in secret. This idea was popularized in medieval literature, particularly in the works of writers like Wolfram von Eschenbach, who depicted the Grail as a sacred stone and suggested that a group of knights similar to the Templars were its protectors. the legend of the Grail became intertwined with that of the Templars, adding to their aura of mysticism and spiritual significance. In more recent times, the Templars' connection to the Grail has been explored in numerous books, films, and documentaries. Perhaps the most famous example is Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, which suggests that the Templars were involved in protecting the secret of the bloodline of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, a modern reinterpretation of the Grail legend. While the book is a work of fiction, it drew renewed attention to the Templars and reignited public interest in the mystery of the Grail and the hidden secrets of the order. The Templars in popular culture. The Knights Templar have become iconic figures in popular culture, appearing in countless novels, movies, television shows, and video games. Their distinctive white mantles with the red cross, their reputation as warriors, and their association with hidden secrets have made them a popular subject for creators looking to explore themes of mystery, adventure, and historical intrigue. In cinema, the Templars have been featured in films such as Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, where the Grail legend is central to the plot, and the Templars are depicted as ancient guardians of the relic. Similarly, the National Treasure films feature treasure hunters who follow clues left by the Templars to uncover hidden riches and historical secrets. In video games, the Templars play a significant role in the Assassin's Creed series, where they are portrayed as a secretive and powerful organization vying for control of the world. The game series blends historical events with fiction, casting the Templars as antagonists in a centuries-long struggle against the Assassins, another secret society. The popularity of these games has introduced the story of the Templars to a new generation of players, further solidifying their place in modern popular culture. The Templars' image as warriors of Christ, along with their mysterious downfall, has also made them a popular subject for historical fiction. Authors such as Raymond Curry and Umberto Eco have written novels that explore the Templars' hidden treasures and their secret role in shaping world events. These stories, while often rooted in historical detail, blur the line between fact and fiction, contributing to the mystique that surrounds the order. Even in music and art, the Templars have left their mark. Bands like Iron Maiden and Blind Guardian have written songs inspired by the Templars, while artists have used the order's rich symbolism to create evocative works that reflect the Templars' complex legacy. The Templar legacy today. Today, the legacy of the Knights Templar is a fascinating blend of historical fact and myth. While the historical Templars were a military and financial order that played a key role in the Crusades and medieval Christendom, the legends that have grown around them have transformed them into figures of mystery and intrigue. In some parts of the world, particularly in Portugal, the Templars' legacy is still honored and remembered through historical landmarks and festivals. For example, the Convent of Christ in Tomar, Portugal, was a Templar stronghold, and it remains a popular tourist destination for those interested in the history of the order. The Freemasons and other fraternal organizations continue to draw inspiration from the Templars, incorporating elements of their symbolism and rituals into their own practices. While these connections are often more symbolic than historical, they serve as a testament to the enduring influence of the Templars on modern organizations. The Templar story is also kept alive by historians, researchers, and amateur enthusiasts who continue to explore the mysteries surrounding the order's rise, fall, and legacy. From historical studies to treasure hunts, the fascination with the Templars shows no signs of fading, and their place in history remains as compelling as ever. Conclusion. The Knights Templar, once a powerful military order that fought for the defense of Christendom, have become much more than a chapter in medieval history. Their legacy has grown into a rich tapestry of myths, legends, and popular culture, where fact and fiction are often difficult to separate. From secret societies and hidden treasures to their iconic role in modern entertainment, the Templars' story continues to captivate the imagination of people around the world. In the end, whether viewed as noble warriors, victims of political betrayal, or guardians of ancient secrets, the Knights Templar remain one of the most enduring and fascinating legends in Western history. Their influence, both real and imagined, continues to shape our understanding of the medieval world and beyond. The Knights Templar, a legacy that endures. As we reach the end of this whispered exploration into the Knights Templar, we are left with more questions than answers. Their rise to power, mysterious practices, dramatic fall, and enduring influence have kept their story alive for centuries. While the true nature of their secrets may be lost to time, the Templars' legacy continues to inspire wonder and curiosity. From the battlefields of the Crusades to the halls of modern-day popular culture, the Templars have transitioned from history into myth. Their wealth, influence, and possible guardianship of the Holy Grail have spurred countless theories, but ultimately, the truth remains elusive. What we do know is that the Templars were a force unlike any other, warrior monks dedicated to a cause larger than themselves. Their trials, betrayals, and eventual downfall mark the end of an era, yet their spirit endures. Whether as protectors of sacred relics, as defenders of Christendom, or as misunderstood victims of political greed, the Knights Templar remain one of history's greatest enigmas. Thank you for joining me in uncovering the layers of mystery surrounding the Knights Templar. If you've enjoyed this journey through the ages, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. There are many more stories from history waiting to be whispered, and I look forward to having you with me for the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and may the secrets of the past continue to illuminate your present. Good night.